Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Ever feel like, you're capable of so much more, but something's holding you back? Like there's this hidden potential just waiting to be unlocked.
Yeah.
That's what we're exploring today with Neville Goddard's mind-blowing lecture, God Became Man.
And it's mind-blowing because, Goddard kind of flips the script on traditional religious thinking.
Okay.
Like, we're not here to worship some distant deity, but to uncover the God within ourselves.
Okay, I am so here for this. So how does Goddard even begin to explain this whole God within concept?
He dives right in with this statement that's both simple and radical, God became man so that man could become God.
Wow.
He's saying that the divine potential isn't something separate from us. It's like woven into the very fabric of our being.
Whoa, okay. That's a lot to unpack. It's like we're talking about leveling up to a whole new dimension of existence.
Exactly. And Goddard doesn't just throw this out there. He backs it up with some intriguing interpretations of biblical passages, specifically the Psalms.
Now, you might be wondering, why Psalms? Well, for Goddard, these weren't just religious texts. They were like coded messages about our true nature.
Right. He points to Psalm 82, for example.
Okay.
Before we dive into that, though, let's clarify a potentially confusing term Goddard uses, divine society.
Okay.
He's talking about this group of gods mentioned in this psalm, beings with incredible power and potential. But then it takes an interesting turn, saying, these gods die like men.
Okay, that's a little ominous. What's Goddard's take on that?
He sees it as humanity's descent into limitation, like we've forgotten our divine origins, our true nature as part of this divine society and become, trapped in this limited human experience.
So it's like we've traded our cosmic birthright for a life of earthly struggles.
Yeah.
Talk about a raw deal. But if we've forgotten who we are, how do we even begin to reclaim that divinity?
Well, Goddard points to another psalm, Psalm 22, which might sound familiar. My God, why have you forsaken me?
Oh, right. It's a powerful image of suffering and despair.
Exactly. And Goddard connects that to the crucifixion, not just as a historical event, but as a metaphor for humanity's struggle. This feeling of being utterly alone, abandoned by the divine, is something we all experience at some point.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going. If the crucifixion represents our descent into limitation, then the resurrection
is our awakening to our true divine nature. It's that aha moment where we remember who we truly are. Powerful creators, not helpless victims.
So we've got this descent into limitation, this cry of despair, and then boom, the resurrection, the grand awakening. It's like a universal hero's journey, but instead of slaying dragons, we're conquering our own limiting beliefs.
That's a great way to put it. And just like a hero needs a guide, Goddard offers us a key to unlocking our own potential. The power of imagination.
Okay, not just daydreaming on Tuesday afternoon, right? We're talking next level imagination here.
Exactly. Goddard didn't see imagination as mere fantasy. He believed it was the very force that drives creation, the tool by which we manifest our reality. He's saying that what we focus on, what we truly believe and embody in our minds, shapes our experiences in the outer world.
So we're not just passive observers in the game of life, we're active players, shaping the game with our thoughts and beliefs.
Precisely. And Goddard takes it even further with this fascinating story about the biblical King David. But before we dive into that...
Don't leave us hanging. Who is David in this context, and what does he have to do with any of this?
Buckle up, because, this is where it gets really interesting. Remember how we talked about Psalm 22?
Yeah.
Well, Goddard, he zeroes in on a specific word in that psalm, Yachid. It's often translated as my darling or my life. But Goddard insists it really means my only son.
Okay, my only son. Now, where does David fit into all of this?
This is where Goddard gets, really personal. He claimed to have had this mystical experience, a vision where he directly identified with the biblical David, not just as a king, but as a symbol of this only begotten son. He even describes David calling him father in this vision.
Wow. Okay, so we're not just talking about believing in a higher power. It's about realizing you are that power, the same force that sent its only son into the world.
That's exactly how Goddard saw it. This means you, listener, are also this only son, this David figure.
Wow.
How amazing is that? He believed this wasn't just some, random occurrence, but pointed to a universal truth about humanity.
Okay, mind officially blown. But if we're all this only son, this David figure, what are we supposed to do with that realization? How do we even begin to access that power?
Goddard believed that recognizing this connection to David was just the beginning. He saw it as like a crucial step in a much larger process of awakening to our true nature.
So there's more. We're not just supposed to sit around and contemplate our inner David.
Not quite. This is where Goddard's call to action comes in. It's not about rituals or dogma. It's about recognizing the immense power within ourselves, the power we've had all along.
Okay, I like the sound of that. So how do we actually tap into this power? What's the secret sauce?
Remember how we talked about imagination being the ultimate creative force?
Yeah.
That's where it all ties together. Goddard believed that by harnessing the power of our imagination, by truly believing in our desires and embodying them as if they were already real, we could shape our reality.
So it's not enough to just, like, think positive thoughts.
Yeah.
We have to actually feel the reality of what we desire. It's about embodying that future self.
Exactly. It's about shifting our internal state. Aligning ourselves with the frequency of our desires. God believed this is how we tap into the creative force of the universe, the same force that brought the cosmos into being.
Okay, I can see how that might be a game changer. But this whole idea of us being these powerful creators, doesn't that come with, like, a huge amount of responsibility?
Absolutely. Goddard didn't shy away from that. He saw the whole of creation as something that needs to be redeemed, to be lifted up and healed. And he believed that humanity, as expressions of the divine, had a crucial role to play in that redemption.
There's that word again, redemption. What exactly did Goddard mean by that? What needs to be redeemed?
That's a big question, and Goddard doesn't offer easy answers. He, suggests there's a much larger cosmic drama unfolding, something beyond our limited human understanding. But he believed that our individual journeys of self-discovery, our awakenings to our own divine nature, are all part of this larger redemption.
So in a way, by stepping into our own power, by becoming the best versions of ourselves, we're also contributing to something much bigger than ourselves.
That's one way to look at it, yeah. It's about understanding the interconnectedness of everything, recognizing the spark of divinity not just within ourselves, but in all of creation.
Wow, okay. It's almost like Goddard is suggesting there's this, like, grand plan, this ultimate purpose. But we have to tap into our own divinity to even begin to grasp it, let alone play our part.
Now you're getting it. It's not about blindly following a set of rules or worshiping an external deity. It's about inner exploration, self-discovery, and recognizing the incredible creative power within each of us.
It's definitely a different way of thinking about things.
Yep.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. This idea of God becoming man, so man can become God. The power of imagination, the importance of the only son, and the connection to King David, and this concept of cosmic redemption. Is there anything else essential about Goddard's perspective in this lecture?
He leaves us with this powerful final image, something he refers to as the explosion. It might sound a little intense, but stick with me. It's about breaking free from the limitations we place on ourselves.
Okay.
And it ties directly back to something we discussed earlier, this idea of David being raised from the dead.
An explosion. Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more.
Yeah.
An explosion. I have to admit, that does sound a little, I don't know, intense. But you've definitely piqued my curiosity. What exactly is exploding, and how does it relate to David being raised from the dead?
It's not a literal explosion, of course.
Okay.
Think of it more like a metaphorical bursting forth, this sudden and radical expansion of consciousness where we finally break free from the limitations we've placed on ourselves. Remember how we talked about the crucifixion representing humanity's descent into limitation?
Right, like we're stuck in this limited human experience, forgetting our true divine nature.
Exactly. Well, Goddard sees the resurrection, specifically the breaking of the tomb, as a powerful symbol of this explosion. It's the shattering of limitations, the dramatic unveiling of our true divine selves.
Okay, so it's like we're like busting out of our self-imposed prisons and finally stepping into the fullness of who we really are.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
But how does David fit into all of this?
Goddard points to a passage in Psalm 16 where it says, "Thou wouldst not leave my soul in hell." He argues that the word often translated as hell, Sheol, in Hebrew, actually refers to a state of being uncovered or revealed.
Interesting. So it's not about like a fiery underworld, but more about a state of being hidden versus revealed.
Exactly. And Goddard believed this directly relates to David, the only begotten son, being raised up, revealed in his full glory.
So this raising up, this unveiling, that's what Goddard calls the explosion. It's the moment of truth.
Yeah.
The big reveal where we recognize our own divinity.
You got it. He describes it as this like incredible liberation, this feeling of the skull erupting,
Yeah.
symbolizing the shattering of our limited perception. Imagine a caterpillar trapped in its cocoon, suddenly breaking free as a butterfly. That's the kind of transformation Goddard is talking about.
Again, that's an image that really drives it home. So we all have this divine spark within us, this incredible potential,
Hmm.
but we've forgotten who we truly are. And it's through this process of imagination, belief, and ultimately this like explosion of self-realization that we reclaim our godhood. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. It's a journey of self-discovery, but also one of like immense responsibility.
Okay.
Because if we are all expressions of the divine, then we have a duty to, live up to that potential, to use our creative power for good.
It's a lot to take in, but also incredibly inspiring. It makes you want to explore your own potential, to look at the world and yourself in a whole new light.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Goddard's work. It's challenging, it's mind-bending, but ultimately it leaves you with a sense of hope and, like, limitless possibility. It's a call to look within, to explore the depths of our own being, and recognize the incredible power we possess.
A power we've had all along, just waiting to be unleashed. It's definitely a journey worth taking. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder these powerful ideas. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the mind of Neville Goddard. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep imagining the world you want to create.